Christmas tree is a decorated tree, usually an evergreen conifer such as spruce, pine, or fir associated with the celebration of Christmas. An artificial Christmas tree, usually made from polyvinyl chloride, is a man-made replication of such a tree and is often used instead of a live tree in order to retain the Christmas spirit and decorations without the care and maintenance of a cut tree. The tree was traditionally decorated with edibles such as apples, nuts, or other foods. In the 18th century, it began to be illuminated by candles which were ultimately replaced by Christmas lights after the advent of electrification. Today, there are a wide variety of traditional ornaments, such as garland, tinsel, and candy canes. An angel or star might be placed at the top of the tree to represent the angel Gabriel or the Star of Bethlehem from the Nativity. The custom of the Christmas tree developed in early modern Germany with predecessors that can be traced to the 16th and possibly 15th century, in which devout Christians brought decorated trees into their homes. Christmas trees were hung in St. George's Church, Saar copyright Lestot since 1521. It acquired popularity beyond Germany during the second half of the 19th century. The Christmas tree has also been known as the Yule tree, especially in discussions of its folkloristic origins. History, possible predecessors. While it is clear that the modern Christmas tree originated during the Renaissance of early modern Germany, there are a number of speculative theories as to its ultimate origin. Its 16th-century origins are sometimes associated with Protestant Christian reformer Martin Luther who, according to the TV channel History, first added lighted candles to a tree. It is frequently traced to the symbolism of evergreen trees in pre-Christian winter rites, in particular through the story of Dorner's Oak and the popularized story of Saint Boniface and the conversion of the German pagans. According to the Encyclopaedia Britannica, the use of evergreen trees, wreaths, and garlands to symbolize eternal life was a custom of the ancient Egyptians, Chinese, and Hebrews. Tree worship was common among the pagan Europeans and survived their conversion to Christianity in the Scandinavian customs of decorating the house and barn with evergreens at the new year to scare away the devil and of setting up a tree for the birds during Christmas time. Alternatively, it is identified with a Tree of Paradise of medieval mystery plays that were given on December 24, the commemoration and name day of Adam and Eve in various countries. In such plays, a tree decorated with apples and wafers was used as a setting for the play. Like the Christmas crib, the Paradise tree was later placed in homes. The apples were replaced by round objects such as shiny red balls. Georgia. The Georgians have their own traditional Christmas tree called kishalaki, made from dried-up hazelnut or walnut branches that are shaved to form a small coniferous tree. These pale-colored ornaments differ in height from 20 cm to 3 meters. Kyriakis are most common in the Guria and Sambrelo regions of Georgia near the Black Sea, but they can also be found in some stores around the capital of Tbilisi. Georgians believe that kishalaki resembles the famous beard of Saint Basil the Great, who is thought to visit people during Christmas similar to the Santa Claus tradition. Poland, there was an old pagan custom of suspending at the ceiling a branch of fir, spruce or pine called portarinajka associated with kolyada. The branches were decorated with apples, nuts, cookies, colored paper, stars made of straw, ribbons and colored wafers. People believed in the tree magical powers linked with harvesting and success in the next year. In the late 18th and early 19th century, these traditions were almost completely replaced by the German custom of decorating the Christmas tree. Scandinavia, in Norse mythology, the oak was sacred to the thunder god, Thor. Thor's oak was a sacred tree of the Germanic Chatti tribe. According to legend, the Christianization of the heathen tribes by Saint Boniface was marked by the oaks being replaced by the fir as a sacred tree. Estonia and Latvia. Customs of erecting decorated trees in winter time can be traced to Christmas celebrations in Renaissance-era guilds in northern Germany and Livonia. The first evidence of decorated trees associated with Christmas Day are trees in guild halls decorated with sweets to be enjoyed by the apprentices and children. In Livonia, in 1441, 1442, 1510 and 1514, the Brotherhood of Blackheads erected a tree for the holidays in their guild houses in Riga and Reval. On the last night of the celebrations leading up to the holidays, the tree was taken to the town hall square where the members of the Brotherhood danced around it. A Bremen Guild Chronicle of 1570 reports that a small tree decorated with apples, nuts, dates, pretzels and paper flowers was erected in the guild house for the benefit of the guild members' children, who collected the dainties on Christmas Day. In 1584, the pastor and chronicler Balthazar Rousseau in his Chronique der Provinz Liefland wrote of an established tradition of setting up a decorated spruce at the market square where the young men went with a flock of maidens and women, first sang and danced there and then set the tree aflame. After the Protestant Reformation, such trees are seen in the houses of upper-class Protestant families as a counterpart to the Catholic Christmas crypts. This transition from the Guildhall to the bourgeois family homes in the Protestant parts of Germany ultimately gives rise to the modern tradition as it developed in the 18th and 19th centuries. 18th to early 20th centuries, Germany. By the early 18th century, the custom had become common in towns of the Upper Rhineland, but it had not yet spread to rural areas. Wax candles, expensive items at the time, are found in attestations from the late 18th century. Along the Lower Rhine, an area of Roman Catholic majority, the Christmas tree was largely regarded as a Protestant custom. As a result, it remained confined to the Upper Rhineland for a relatively long period of time. The custom did eventually gain wider acceptance beginning around 1815 by way of Prussian officials who emigrated there following the Congress of Vienna. In the 19th century, the Christmas tree was taken to be an expression of German culture and of Zimmer-One-Quarter-Tlichkeit, especially among emigrants overseas. A decisive factor in winning general popularity was the German army's decision to place Christmas trees in its barracks and military hospitals during the Franco-Prussian War. Only at the start of the 20th century did Christmas trees appear inside churches, this time in a new brightly lit form. Adoption by European nobility. In the early 19th century, the custom became popular among the nobility and spread to royal courts as far as Russia. Princess Henrietta of Nassau-Weilburg introduced the Christmas tree to Vienna in 1816, and the custom spread across Austria in the following years. In France, the first Christmas tree was introduced in 1840 by the Duchesse d'Orléans copyright Ans. In Denmark, a Danish newspaper claims that the first attested Christmas tree was lit in 1808 by Countess Wilhelmine of Holstein-Borg. It was the aging countess who told the story of the first Danish Christmas tree to the Danish writer Hans Christian Andersen in 1865. He had published a fairy tale called The Fir Tree in 1844, recounting the fate of a fir tree being used as a Christmas tree. Britain. Although the tradition of decorating the home with evergreens was long established, the custom of decorating an entire small tree was unknown in Britain until some 2 centuries ago. At the time of the personal union with Hanover, George III's German-born wife, Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, introduced a Christmas tree at a party she gave for children in 1800. The custom did not at first spread much beyond the royal family. Queen Victoria as a child was familiar with it and a tree was placed in her room every Christmas. In her journal for Christmas Eve 1832, the delighted 13-year-old princess wrote, "After dinner, we then went into the drawing room near the dining room. There were 2 large round tables on which were placed 2 trees hung with lights and sugar ornaments. All the presents being placed round the trees. After Victoria's marriage to her German cousin Prince Albert, by 1841 the custom became even more widespread as wealthier middle-class families followed the fashion. In 1842 a newspaper advert for Christmas trees makes clear their smart cachet, German origins and association with children and gift-giving. An illustrated book, The Christmas Tree, describing their use and origins in detail, was on sale in December 1844. In 1847, Prince Albert wrote, "I must now seek in the children an echo of what Ernest, his brother and I were in the old time, of what we felt and thought. And their delight in the Christmas trees is not less than ours used to be." A boost to the trend was given in 1848 when the Illustrated London News, in a report picked up by other papers, described the trees in Windsor Castle in detail and showed the main tree, surrounded by the royal family, on its cover. In fewer than 10 years their use in better-off homes was widespread. By 1856 a northern provincial newspaper contained an advert alluding casually to them, as well as reporting the accidental death of a woman whose dress caught fire as she lit the tapers on a Christmas tree. They had not yet spread down the social scale though, as a report from Berlin in 1858 contrasts the situation there where every family has its own with that of Britain, where Christmas trees were still the preserve of the wealthy or the romantic. Their use at public entertainments, charity bazaars and in hospitals made them increasingly familiar however, and in 1906 a charity was set up specifically to ensure even poor children in London's slums, who had never seen a Christmas tree would enjoy one that year. Anti-German sentiment after World War I briefly reduced their popularity but the effect was short-lived and by the mid-1920s the use of Christmas trees had spread to all classes. In 1933 a restriction on the importation of foreign trees led to the rapid growth of a new industry as the growing of Christmas trees within Britain became commercially viable due to the size of demand. By 2013 the number of trees grown in Britain for the Christmas market was approximately 8 million and their display in homes, shops and public spaces a normal part of the Christmas season. North America. The tradition was introduced to Canada in the winter of 1781 by Brunswick soldiers stationed in the province of Quebec to garrison the colony against American attack. General Friedrich Adolf Riedesel and his wife, the Baroness von Riedesel, held a Christmas party at Sorel, delighting their guests with a fir tree decorated with candles and fruits. A woodcut of the British royal family with their Christmas tree at Windsor Castle, initially published in the Illustrated London News December 1848, was copied in the United States at Christmas 1850, in Godey's Lady's Book. Godey's copied it exactly, except for the removal of the Queen's tiara and Prince Albert's moustache, to remake the engraving into an American scene. The republished Godey's image became the first widely circulated picture of a decorated evergreen Christmas tree in America. Art historian Carol Ann Marling called Prince Albert and Queen Victoria, shorn of their royal trappings, the first influential American Christmas tree. Folk culture historian Alfred Lewis Shoemaker states, in all of America there was no more important medium in spreading the Christmas tree in the decade 1850-60 than Godey's Lady's Book. The image was reprinted in 1860, and by the 1870s, putting up a Christmas tree had become common in America. Several cities in the United States with German connections lay claim to that country's first Christmas tree. Windsor Locks, Connecticut, claims that a Hessian soldier put up a Christmas tree in 1777 while imprisoned at the Noden Reed House, while the first Christmas tree in America is also claimed by Easton, Pennsylvania, where German settlers purportedly erected a Christmas tree in 1816. In his diary, Matthew Zahm of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, recorded the use of a Christmas tree in 1821, leading Lancaster to also lay claim to the first Christmas tree in America. Other accounts credit Charles Follen, a German immigrant to Boston, for being the first to introduce to America the custom of decorating a Christmas tree. August Ingard, a German immigrant living in Worcester, Ohio, is the first to popularize the practice of decorating a tree with candy canes. In 1847, Ingard cut a blue spruce tree from a woods outside town, had the Worcester village tinsmith construct a star, and placed the tree in his house, decorating it with paper ornaments and candy canes. German immigrant Charles Menegerode accepted a position as a professor of humanities at the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia, in 1842, where he taught Latin and Greek. Entering into the social life of the Virginia Tidewater, Menegerode introduced the German custom of decorating an evergreen tree at Christmas at the home of law professor St. George Tucker, thereby becoming another of many influences that prompted Americans to adopt the practice at about that time. The lyrics sung in the United States to the German tune O Tannenbaum begin O Christmas tree, giving rise to the mistaken idea that the German word Tannenbaum means Christmas tree, the German word for which is instead Weihnachtsbaum, 18th to early 20th centuries. 1935 to present. In Russia, the Christmas tree was banned shortly after the October Revolution but then reinstated as a New Year spruce in 1935. It became a fully secular icon of the New Year holiday. For example, The crowning star was regarded not as a symbol of Bethlehem's star, but as the red star. Decorations, such as figurines of airplanes, bicycles, space rockets, cosmonauts, and characters of Russian fairy tales, were produced. This tradition persists after the fall of the USSR, with the New Year holiday outweighing the Christmas for a wide majority of Russian people. The TV special A Charlie Brown Christmas was influential on the pop culture surrounding the Christmas tree. Aluminum Christmas trees were popular during the early 1960s in the U.S. They were satirized in The Charlie Brown Show and came to be seen as symbolizing the commercialization of Christmas. The term Charlie Brown Christmas tree, describing any poor-looking or malformed little tree, also derives from the 1965 TV special, based on the appearance of Charlie Brown's Christmas tree. Public Christmas trees. Since the early 20th century, it has become common in many cities, towns, and department stores to put up public Christmas trees outdoors, such as the Macy's Great Tree in Atlanta, the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree in New York City, and the large Christmas tree at Victoria Square in Adelaide. The United States National Christmas tree has been lit each year since 1923 on the south lawn of the White House. Today, the lighting of the National Christmas tree is part of what has become a major holiday event at the White House. President Jimmy Carter lit only the crowning star atop the tree in 1979 in honor of the Americans being held hostage in Iran. The same was true in 1980, except that the tree was fully lit for 417 seconds. 1 second for each day the hostages had been in captivity. During most of the 1970s and 1980s, the largest decorated Christmas tree in the world was put up every year on the property of the National Enquirer in Lantana, Florida. This tradition grew into one of the most spectacular and celebrated events in the history of southern Florida, but was discontinued on the death of the paper's founder in the late 1980s. In some cities, a festival of trees is organized around the decoration and display of multiple trees as charity events. The giving of Christmas trees has also often been associated with the end of hostilities. After the signing of the armistice in 1918, the city of Manchester sent a tree, and £500 to buy chocolate and cakes, for the children of the much bombarded town of Lille in northern France. In some cases the trees represent special commemorative gifts, such as in Trafalgar Square in London, where the city of Oslo, Norway presents a tree to the people of London as a token of appreciation for the British support of Norwegian resistance during the Second World War. In Boston, where the tree is a gift from the province of Nova Scotia, in thanks for rapid deployment of supplies and rescuers to the 1917 ammunition ship explosion that leveled the city of Halifax. And in Newcastle upon Tyne, where the main civic Christmas tree is an annual gift from the city of Bergen, in thanks for the part played by soldiers from Newcastle in liberating Bergen from Nazi occupation. Norway also annually gifts a Christmas tree to Washington, D.C. as a symbol of friendship between Norway and the U.S. and as an expression of gratitude from Norway for the help received from the U.S. during World War II. Customs and traditions, setting up and taking down. Both setting up and taking down a Christmas tree are associated with specific dates. Traditionally, Christmas trees were not brought in and decorated until Christmas Eve or, in the traditions celebrating Christmas Eve rather than the first day of Christmas, December 23rd, and then removed the day after Twelfth Night. To have a tree up before or after these dates was even considered bad luck. In many areas, it has become customary to set up one's Christmas tree at the beginning of the Advent season. Some families in the US and Canada will put up a Christmas tree soon after American Thanksgiving, and Christmas decorations can show up even earlier in retail stores, often the day after Halloween. Some households do not put up the tree until the second week of December, and leave it up until January 6. In Germany, traditionally the tree is put up on December 24 and taken down on January 7, though many start 1 or 2 weeks earlier, and in Roman Catholic homes the tree may be kept until February 2. In Italy and Argentina, along with many countries in Latin America, the Christmas tree is put up on December 8 and left up until January 6. In Australia, the Christmas tree is usually put up on December 1, which occurs about a week before the school summer holidays. Except for South Australia, where most people put up their tree after the Adelaide Christmas pageant in late November. Some traditions suggest that Christmas trees may be kept up until no later than February 2, the feast of the presentation of Jesus at the temple, when the Christmas season effectively closes. Superstitions say that it is a bad sign if Christmas greenery is not removed by Candlemas Eve. Decoration. Christmas ornaments are decorations that are used to decorate a Christmas tree. The first decorated trees were adorned with apples, white candy canes and pastries in the shapes of stars, hearts and flowers. Glass baubles were first made in Lauscha, Germany, garlands of glass beads and tin figures that could be hung on trees. The popularity of these decorations grew into the production of glass figures made by highly skilled artisans with clay molds. The ornaments were hand-painted and topped with a cap and hook. Tinsel and several types of garland or ribbon are commonly used to decorate a Christmas tree. Silvered sarin-based tinsel was introduced later. Delicate mold-blown and painted colored glass Christmas ornaments were a speciality of the glass factories in the Thuringian forest, especially in Lauscha in the late 19th century, and have since become a large industry, complete with famous name designers. Baubles are another common decoration, consisting of small hollow glass or plastic spheres coated with a thin metallic layer to make them reflective, with a further coating of a thin pigmented polymer in order to provide coloration. Lighting with electric lights is commonly done. A tree topper, sometimes an angel but more frequently a star, completes the decoration. Individuals' decorations typically include a mix of family traditions and personal tastes. Even a small unattractive ornament, if passed down from a parent or grandparent, may come to carry considerable emotional value and be given a place of pride on the tree. Conversely, trees decorated by professional designers for department stores and other institutions will usually have a theme. A set of predominant colors, multiple instances of each type of ornament, and larger decorations that may be more complicated to set up correctly. Some churches decorate with Chrisman trees, which use handmade ornaments depicting various Chrisman symbols. Many people also decorate outdoor trees with food that birds and other wildlife will enjoy, such as garlands made from unsalted popcorn or cranberries, orange halves, and seed-covered suet cakes. Because candles were used to light trees until electric bulbs came about, a mat or skirt was often placed on the floor below the tree to collect wax drippings and also any needles that fell. Even when dripless candles, electric lights and artificial trees have been used, a skirt is still usually used as a decorative feature. Among other things, it hides the Christmas tree stand, which may be unsightly yet an important safety feature of home trees. What began as ordinary cloth has now often become much more ornate, some having embroidery or being put together like a quilt. A nativity scene, model train, or Christmas village may be placed on the mat or skirt. As Christmas presents arrive, they are generally placed underneath the tree on the tree skirt. Generally, the difference between a mat and skirt is simply that a mat is placed under the Christmas tree stand, while a skirt is placed over it, having a hole in the middle for the trunk, with a slot cut to the outside edge so that it can be placed around the tree easily. A plain mat of fabric or plastic may also be placed under the stand and skirt to protect the floor from scratches or water. A Christmas tree stand is an object designed to support a cut, natural Christmas tree or an artificial Christmas tree. Christmas tree stands appeared as early as 1876 and have had various designs over the years. Those stands designed for natural trees have a water reservoir to hydrate the live tree. Artificial Christmas trees usually have a plastic or metal stand, with 3 legs shaping like a Y. In the 1940s and 1950s, flocking was very popular on the west coast of the United States. There were home flocking kits that could be used with vacuum cleaners. In the 1980s, some trees were sprayed with fluffy white flocking to simulate snow. Typically it would be sprayed all over the tree from the sides, which produced a look different from real snow, which settles in clumps atop branches. Flocking can be done with a professional sprayer at a tree lot, or at home from a spray can. This tradition seems to be most popular on the west coast and southern parts of the United States. Because flock contains flame retardants, a flock tree can be placed in a public building in accordance with local fire safety codes. In the late 1800s and, most probably, long before, homemade white Christmas trees were made by wrapping strips of cotton batting around leafless branches, creating the appearance of a snow-laden tree. This family tradition eliminated killing and care of a live tree and needle drop in the house while providing a beautiful way of displaying ornaments. After Christmas, the cotton batting was unwrapped and stored with the Christmas presents, and the branches were burned or discarded. It is thought these homemade white trees, at least, in part, inspired flocking popularized by Hollywood films in the late 1930s. Production. Each year, 33 to 36 million Christmas trees are produced in America, and 50 to 60 million are produced in Europe. In 1998, there were about 15,000 growers in America. In that same year, it was estimated that Americans spent $1.5 billion on Christmas trees. Natural trees. The most commonly used species are fir, which have the benefit of not shedding their needles when they dry out, as well as retaining good foliage color and scent. But species in other genera are also used. In Northern Europe, most commonly used are Norway spruce Pisciabes, silver fir Abies alba, Nordman fir Abies nordmaniana, noble fir Abies brossora, Serbian spruce Piscia morica, Scots pine Pinus sylvestris, stone pine Pinus pinni, Swiss pine Pinus sembra. In North America, Central America and South America, most commonly used are Douglas fir Pseudossuga menziesa, balsam fir Abies balsamia, Fraser fir Abies fraseri, grand fir Abies grandis, Guatemalan fir Abies guatemalensis, noble fir Abies brossora, red fir Abies magnifica, white fir Abies concola, pinyon pine Pinus igilis, Jeffrey pine Pinus jeffrey, Scots pine Pinus sylvestris, stone pine Pinus pinni, Norfolk island pine Araucaria heterophylla. Several other species are used to a lesser extent. Less traditional conifers are sometimes used, such as giant sequoia, leyland cypress, Monterey cypress and eastern juniper. Various types of spruce tree are also used for Christmas trees. But spruces begin to lose their needles rapidly upon being cut, and spruce needles are often sharp, making decorating uncomfortable. Virginia pine is still available on some tree farms in the southeastern United States, however its winter color is faded. The long-needled eastern white pine is also used there, though it is an unpopular Christmas tree in most parts of the country, owing also to its faded winter coloration and limp branches, making decorating difficult with all but the lightest ornaments. Norfolk Island pine is sometimes used, particularly in Oceania, and in Australia. Some species of the genera Casuarina and Allocasuarina are also occasionally used as Christmas trees. But, by far, the most common tree is the Monterey pine. Adenanthos seriaceus or Albany woolly bush is commonly sold in southern Australia as a potted living Christmas tree. Hemlock species are generally considered unsuitable as Christmas trees due to their poor needle retention and inability to support the weight of lights and ornaments. Some trees, frequently referred to as living Christmas trees, are sold live with roots and soil, often from a plant nursery, to be stored at nurseries in planters or planted later outdoors and enjoyed for years or decades. Others are produced in a container and sometimes as topiary for a porch or patio. However, when done improperly, the combination of root loss caused by digging, and the indoor environment of high temperature and low humidity is very detrimental to the tree's health. Additionally, the warmth of an indoor climate will bring the tree out of its natural winter dormancy, leaving it little protection when put back outside into a cold outdoor climate. Often Christmas trees are a large attraction for living animals, including mice and spiders. Thus, the survival rate of these trees is low. However, when done properly, replanting provides higher survival rates. European tradition prefers the open aspect of naturally grown, unsheared trees, while in North America there is a preference for close-sheared trees with denser foliage, but less space to hang decorations. In the past, Christmas trees were often harvested from wild forests, but now almost all are commercially grown on tree farms. Almost all Christmas trees in the United States are grown on Christmas tree farms where they are cut after about 10 years of growth and new trees planted. According to the United States Department of Agriculture's Agriculture Census for 2007, 21,537 farms were producing conifers for the cut Christmas tree market in America. 5,717.09 square kilometers were planted in Christmas trees. The life cycle of a Christmas tree from the seed to a 2-meter tree takes, depending on species and treatment in cultivation, between 8 and 12 years. First, the seed is extracted from cones harvested from older trees. These seeds are then usually grown in nurseries and then sold to Christmas tree farms at an age of 3–4 years. The remaining development of the tree greatly depends on the climate, soil quality, as well as the cultivation and how the trees are tended by the Christmas tree farmer. Artificial trees. The first artificial Christmas trees were developed in Germany during the 19th century, though earlier examples exist. These trees were made using goose feathers that were dyed green, as one response by Germans to continued deforestation. Feather Christmas trees ranged widely in size, from a small 2-inch tree to a large 98-inch tree sold in department stores during the 1920s. Often, the tree branches were tipped with artificial red berries which acted as candle holders. Over the years, other styles of artificial Christmas trees have evolved and become popular. In 1930, the US-based Addis Brush Company created the first artificial Christmas tree made from brush bristles. Another type of artificial tree is the aluminum Christmas tree, first manufactured in Chicago in 1958, and later in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, where the majority of the trees were produced. Most modern artificial Christmas trees are made from plastic recycled from used packaging materials, such as polyvinyl chloride. Approximately 10% of artificial Christmas trees are using virgin suspension PVC resin. Despite being plastic, most artificial trees are not recyclable or biodegradable. Other gimmicks have developed as well. Optical fiber Christmas trees come in 2 major varieties. One resembles a traditional Christmas tree. One Dallas-based company offers holographic mylar trees in many hues. Tree-shaped objects made from such materials as cardboard, glass, ceramic or other materials can be found in use as tabletop decorations. Upside-down artificial Christmas trees became popular for a short time and were originally introduced as a marketing gimmick. They allowed consumers to get closer to ornaments for sale in retail stores and opened up floor space for more products. Artificial trees became increasingly popular during the late 20th century. Users of artificial Christmas trees assert that they are more convenient, and, because they are reusable, much cheaper than their natural alternative. They are also considered much safer as natural trees can be a significant fire hazard. Between 2001 and 2007, artificial Christmas tree sales in the U.S. jumped from 7.3 million to 17.4 million. Environmental issues. The debate about the environmental impact of artificial trees is ongoing. Generally, natural tree growers contend that artificial trees are more environmentally harmful than their natural counterparts. However, trade groups such as the American Christmas Tree Association continue to refute that artificial trees are more harmful to the environment, and maintain that the PVC used in Christmas trees has excellent recyclable properties. Live trees are typically grown as a crop and replanted in rotation after cutting, often providing suitable habitat for wildlife. In some cases, management of Christmas tree crops can result in poor habitat since it sometimes involves heavy input of pesticides. Concerns have been raised about people cutting down old and rare conifers, such as the Ctellaria eveliniana, for Christmas trees. Real or cut trees are used only for a short time, but can be recycled and used as mulch or used to prevent erosion. Real trees are carbon neutral, they emit no more carbon dioxide by being cut down and disposed of than they absorb while growing. An independent life cycle assessment study, conducted by a firm of experts in sustainable development, states that a natural tree will generate 3.1 kg of greenhouse gases every year from home, whereas the artificial tree will produce 48.3 kg over its lifetime. Some people use living Christmas or potted trees for several seasons, providing a longer life cycle for each tree. Living Christmas trees can be purchased or rented from local market growers. rentals are picked up after the holidays, while purchased trees can be planted by the owner after use or donated to local tree adoption or urban reforestation services. Most artificial trees are made of recycled PVC rigid sheets using tin stabilizer in the recent years. In the past, lead was often used as a stabilizer in PVC, but is now banned by Chinese laws. The use of lead stabilizer in Chinese imported trees has been an issue of concern among politicians and scientists over recent years. A 2004 study found that while in general artificial trees pose little health risk from lead contamination, there do exist worst-case scenarios, where major health risks to young children exist. A 2008 United States Environmental Protection Agency report found that as the PVC in artificial Christmas trees aged it began to degrade. The report determined that of the 50 million artificial trees in the United States approximately 20 million were 9 or more years old, the point where dangerous lead contamination levels are reached. A professional study on the life cycle assessment of both real and artificial Christmas trees revealed that one must use an artificial Christmas tree at least during 20 years to leave an environmental footprint as small as the natural Christmas tree. Secular versus religious nature. The Christmas tree's origins are uncertain, but it is associated with the celebration of the Christmas holidays, so there has been some amount of debate as to whether it should be considered a secular or a religious custom. It has been rejected as a pagan tradition that should not be associated with the Christian religious celebration of Christmas. It has been rejected as a Christian tradition that should not be allowed to be endorsed in secular contexts and countries that have a separation of church and state. As a custom arising in Protestant parts of Germany, it has been rejected as a Protestant custom in Catholic countries, detracting from the Mediterranean traditions of the Christmas crib. Pope John Paul II introduced the Christmas tree custom to the Vatican in 1982. Although at first disapproved of by some as out of place at the center of the Roman Catholic Church, the Vatican Christmas tree has become an integral part of the Vatican Christmas celebrations, and in 2005 Pope Benedict XVI spoke of it as part of the normal Christmas decorations in Catholic homes. In 2004, Pope John Paul called the Christmas tree a symbol of Christ. This very ancient custom, he said, exalts the value of life, as in winter what is evergreen becomes a sign of undying life, and it reminds Christians of the tree of life of Genesis 2:9, an image of Christ, the supreme gift of God to humanity. In the previous year he said, beside the crib, the Christmas tree, with its twinkling lights, reminds us that with the birth of Jesus the tree of life has blossomed anew in the desert of humanity. The crib and the tree, precious symbols, which hand down in time the true meaning of Christmas. The Catholic Church's official Book of Blessings has a service for the blessing of the Christmas tree in a home. In 2006, the Tacoma International Airport removed all of its Christmas trees in the middle of the night rather than allow a rabbi to put up a menorah near the largest tree display. Officials feared that one display would open the door for other religious displays, and, in 2007, they opted to display a grove of birches and polyethylene terephthalate snow rather than religious symbols or Christmas trees. In 2005, the city of Boston renamed the spruce tree used to decorate the Boston Common a holiday tree rather than a Christmas tree. The name change drew a poor response from the public and it was reversed after the city was threatened with several lawsuits. At the Bilbao Airport 2005 displayed a Christmas tree and a Santa Claus and Christmas elf alongside the Basque Lincero, as a way of syncretizing traditions in northern Spain. Christmas trees are a variety developed in 1957 by a Lutheran laywoman in Virginia, as a specifically religious version appropriate for a church's Christmas celebrations. They are typically decorated with items made from recycled materials. See also, references. External links, Christmas trees at DMOZ, Christmas tree survives war, Hiroshima bomb. Associated Press. December 21, 2007. History of the Christmas tree. Allabouthistory.org. Care of holiday evergreen trees and boughs from the New York Botanical Garden.